Bronze Ladle Studios. Here's InShane in the Membrane.
Hello and welcome to the InShane in the Membrane podcast. I'm your host, Shane Thompson, and with me as always is my fancy producer, director, whatever we have isn't good enough for him, co-host Ken H.
What up, sucker?
You are one of those people. Like, you're never happy with what you have. You always have to go bigger, don't you?
I've been searching for a new host.
Wow. Is the host going to have to be named Shane? Because otherwise you're going to have to do a new logo.
That was a mistake.
Yeah.
So
There's only so many of us out there.
Well, you do have a friend named Shane.
Yes, I do.
So I'm working on getting a hold of him, and I'm gonna test him out.
I know multiple Shanes, but yeah, I have one pretty good friend named Shane.
You know,
he wouldn't be nearly as good as me.
Do you know?
If you want to talk about OU sports, he'd be better than me.
Ever since we had the episode where we talked about whose name was more popular,
yes,
yeah, mine's
I remember
incredibly more popular.
Yeah, I know.
And guess what? I'm multicultural.
Okay.
People from Africa, Kenneth. Europe, Kenneth. America, Kenneth. It's very popular.
Okay, great.
All colors, all creeds, all countries.
We're picking up right where we left off with meaningless information.
Asian. There's a lot of Ken Asians.
There are no Kens in Asia.
Yes, there is.
No, there's not.
Yes. What about the guy that's the actor that was on The Doctor, who's on every show now?
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Ken he's an MD and then became a comedian. He was on Parks and Rec or something. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. He's probably an American.
He was in the show where they go on not the honeymoon, but the bachelor party. What's that called?
Oh,
jumps out of the trunk naked.
The Hangover.
Yeah, The Hangover.
Yeah, what's his name?
It's Ken something.
Well, that's either short for a Korean Ken something longer, or
oh my word,
or he's an American.
It doesn't matter.
I know. Listen, Ken, you've already sidetracked me. We're doing this this is our first podcast in over 2 months, and we got fancy video.
We did a test clip,
and I could see me up there. I see you. I could see you there, and I could see a camera there. And so we're all fancy here, and you start us out with this worthless information. Picked up right where we left off.
Right where we left off.
Didn't skip a beat.
Nope.
Hey, Ken.
Hey, what?
Have you ever gone to use the bathroom in a porta potty? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Like, and you no, I know you've used a porta potty, but you sat down, to do your business. Okay. Wait. Okay. I was about to say, if you tell me right now that you've never sat down, I know you have. You sat down and you get your, you get in the position. Okay. You're about to do your business, and you look over, and there, about 10 to 12 inches away from you, is a big old fat hairy spider. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, what'd you do in that situation?
Probably killed it.
I'm talking about big, fat, hairy,
I'd kill it.
like wolf or tarantula.
I would kill it.
With your hands?
No, foot.
While you're on the toilet? How are you going to kill it with your foot when you're in a porta potty sitting with your bare butt on the...
Where's the spider at? Was it on the ground? Is it on the wall?
I'm saying it's next to you, like next to the seat.
I'm getting off the toilet, whether stuff's
Are you going to get out? Are you going to get out?
No.
Or you're not going to get out?
No.
Okay.
There's people on the outside that's going to hear some banging. But I'm going to stand up. See, we can show people this now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So show America or the world what you would do. Okay. Wow. So as you hang on, as you know, I'm building a house.
Yes.
It's in the country. Not really. It's like the city,
really.
but it's more the country than your neighborhood and mine, correct?
Yeah.
It's bigger lots, it's kind of wooded. And I got a porta potty. It's been there forever because this has gone on forever.
How much does that porta potty cost you? Could you have bought one?
Oh, many times over. But the problem is I couldn't have serviced it like.
I would just left it.
I guess so. I should have just bought one.
Yeah.
It's $145 a month.
What you should have done was cut a hole in the back of it.
I've probably paid $2,000 for that toilet and that porta potty, and I'm sure I could have bought one for like $600 or something. That was stupid on my part, but I didn't know any better. I didn't know how long. Anyway, stop interrupting my story here. So the other day, I go in there. It hits me, and when you got to go, you got to go. You know what I'm saying? So I go in there, and it's hot, and I, pull my stuff down, and I go in there to make a couple of deposits, if you know what I'm saying. And I'm sitting there, and it's hot, and I look over, and what do you think I see?
A big, hairy spider.
Absolutely nothing. But I thought, what if there was a spider there?
Yes.
The thought hit me. So I just really wanted to know. I wanted to know what you would do. Because if there was, I'm telling you right now, I'm serious.
Yes.
If it was like a tarantula and it was right there, I would just be out of the toilet. I don't care. I just don't care. I'd be out of the toilet.
Are you scared of spiders?
They when they surprise me, when they're that close to me and I don't know they're there, I'm shocked. And then I'm fascinated with them and I'm okay with them, but they do scare me when they surprise me. And I would have flipped out and
I'm not scared of spiders, but I'm scared of I hate the webs. Like if you walk through the web and you're going outside at night or something and they built a web on one of your walkways.
I don't mind that.
No, that freaks me out.
All right, I don't mind that.
But if I see the spider, I'm fine.
I think I told you. So when we were Brent and I were living in an apartment over there on Council, not far from where I live now.
Mm-hmm.
Our apartment, the little porch light was out.
Right.
So it was dark at the door. And the doorknob, it was just like a big round doorknob, and it had a jamb next to it. And one night I go in, and it was nighttime, and I go in to open the door, and I'm about to grab. And I kind of notice something's up. There's a big old wolf spider. People don't know the wolf is it's like a smaller tarantula, I think a thinner tarantula, but they can grow as big as tarantulas. They get pretty big and they're hairy. Right. If you didn't know any better, you'd think it's a tarantula, but it's a wolf. And a big old one had nested, like it curled up in between the knob and the door jamb. It was like jammed in there, like small.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you about how to seizure. I was so scared. I was like, oh, my gosh, that's a spider. And it's a big old spider. And I almost touched it.
What did you do from that point?
I kind of, I think I used my foot and kind of kicked the doorknob.
I take my shoe off.
I don't want to kill it. I don't want to kill it. I have respect for spiders. I have respect for all animals.
I mean, if they're not bothering me, but if they're in my space.
I understand that, but I just shoot him away. I shoot him away. It was no big deal. He wasn't, he didn't know that's where I live.
I don't think they're poisonous.
They're not. They're not.
Yeah.
So
I'm not stopping to check a spider if it's poisonous.
I'm just saying.
And I'm not checking
when you're
like snakes
in a porta potty. You're in a very enclosed area in a very vulnerable situation.
You got more room than you think, though.
No, Ken, you don't. Mine is small, and sometimes I'll see like a wasp in there.
Now, lately, it's been was it 115 degrees that day?
The patience that it takes to just calm yourself down and finish your business. While you can see that wasp. It is a true test.
Focus.
It's a true test. I'm just telling you.
Was it 115 degrees that day?
It was very hot. Yeah, 105 or whatever.
That you were probably hallucinating.
Could have been. Could have been. Well, once again,
it's too hot.
No spider there. I just imagined there was a spider there, and then I thought, what would I do? I would freak out. I would absolutely freak out. So from now on, every time when I got to make a deposit, if you know what I'm saying, okay, when I get in there, I got to do a little once over, just to make sure there's no big spiders or wasps or scorpions. I got scorpions now at my place.
Really?
Yeah, I saw a live one first time in my life the other day.
Oh, first time. I've seen them before, but I hadn't seen one in a long time.
In the wild, that's the first time I've ever seen one. I'm 50 years old. I've never seen one in the wild until the other day.
Yeah.
It was little.
Yeah, they're small around here.
Most of them are, yeah.
Yep.
But anyway. All right, I just wanted to know what you would do. I don't believe you for a second. I think you, like me, would panic and you would run out of the porta potty.
I don't panic for spiders. I panic for the web being on me.
What about snakes? Would you panic if it was a snake?
I don't like I dislike snakes more than spiders, and I'm not messing with snakes. If I had a tool and it was away from me, I may try to kill it, but I'm not grabbing people that grab the tail and hold it
Yeah,
up. I ain't
yeah.
doing that.
I'm fascinated by both, but when they surprise me, they both scare me. But then I'm just fascinated, and I can't leave them alone because I just want to look at them.
What's that saying? The yellow, black, friendly Jack.
Yeah.
Or
Red and yellow,
kill a fellow.
Kill a fellow.
Yeah.
Red and black, friend to Jack.
Yeah.
And that's a coral snake is red and yellow. And I've seen him in the other type of snake that looks like a coral snake. And its whole point is, which is fascinating, its point is to do its coloring similar enough to make people think, oh, it's coral, that's a bad boy, and make
Where
all
are
the
they
other
at?
animals.
I've never seen one in
Florida.
Everything's in Florida.
It really is. Yeah. Retired people,
gangsters,
Walt Disney World,
gangsters,
beaches,
boa constrictors,
Everglades,
alligators,
wheelchairs,
Florida Keys,
manatees,
Miami,
Tallahassee,
Dwayne Wade.
That's enough. I don't know that he's still in Florida. He may not be in
Shaq
Florida.
lives in, I think, Orlando.
Shaq has like 15 houses. He's
I think
all
that's
over the
one
place.
of his wives with like 3 kids. And,
hey, can we move on?
Sure.
You got this new fancy tool, and I can see it's 11 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, and I think we are somewhat limited
for this
on
new
time,
revamp. All right, whatever. What are we time wise? Are we shooting for a new goal? We haven't even talked about that.
I think just let it go.
What we've been doing,
hour.
You're happy with what we've been doing?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
I mean, it's the same podcast.
You're the director. Direct.
They can see you now.
I gotta sit up straight.
I know, dude. I've got like terrible posture right here.
There we go.
I think the camera adds 20 pounds.
I didn't shave. I gotta shave. Man, I don't like this. Who do you look like? I have no idea. What are you going for?
Winston Churchill.
Oh. First of all, I'm not 90 years old, so I don't remember Winston Churchill in my mind. Could have been Alfred Hitchcock.
On. Yeah,
they're very similar. Same person.
What did you say? Hitchcock?
I said Hitchcock.
Okay.
Alfred Hitchcock.
You gotta make sure you say the cock. It's
Hitchcock.
Yeah, it's different.
Alfred Hitchcock. Hey, maybe they're the same person. Winston Churchill and Alfred Hitchcock.
Interesting.
Cock. You just like to hear me say cock.
Hancock. Cock.
Yeah. That's enough. That's enough cock talk.
My niece used to call me Kenneth Hamhock.
Okay.
Thanks, she really did.
Thanks for telling us that.
What's this episode about?
Oh, you can see me too, right?
Yeah. What's this episode about? I think we really didn't discuss it that much.
No, we really didn't. Okay, so first of all, we've been off for a couple months.
Yeah.
This summer.
Where did you go? I think that's what this episode
I went to a lot
about.
of places.
You went to Africa.
Piedmont.
You went on a 2.5 week trip to Africa. So you were going to kind of give us the rundown. You said,
is that what you want? Is that what you want to hear?
Yeah, I mean, this is getting our feet wet.
I don't know.
This is the truth, though. We're going to be able to have a lot more guests from anywhere now.
No, we are.
I'm excited about.
We
That
are.
was the whole. Really, you blame it on me having, not happy with everything, but really, there was a point to it.
Listen.
So we
there are a lot of people I want to have on the show to make fun of. It's a long list of people I'd love to make fun of because I have a lot of friends with a lot of things I can make fun of, and that's the whole point of this. So I'm happy.
Yeah,
I'm happy about it. It's all good. Yes. All right. I went to Africa. So. Do you want me to talk about my trip or not?
This is the worst episode ever.
Shout out, Jeff. I went to Africa. I'll talk a little bit about it if that's what you want. Is that what you want, Ken? I want to give you what you want. Is that what you want? I consider all day. I broke down. You won, Ken. You always have to win
I'm not trying
at
to.
everything, don't you? Fine. I don't give a crap if you want me to talk about it or not. I'm going to talk about it.
Why'd you go to Africa?
Low cost of living, good weather. These are great reasons to go. It is true. I went to Zambia. When I say I go to Africa or I went to Africa, people think of like, what do you think of? Like what type of
Well, I know what's going
I
on,
know.
but if I didn't, I
Yeah.
would think safari. That's the
You would
first
think
thing.
safari.
That's the
A
first
lot
thing
of
I
people
think
think
of.
like Sahara, like they think more like desert, like northern Africa.
Well,
Safari is also a good one, like the jungles, like you're
I met
hacking
a
through the
guy,
jungles.
believe it or not, 2 days ago from South Africa, and I know a lot of athletes, golfers, and
Yeah,
stuff have come from
yeah.
South Africa, and I don't think of that as the desert or
No,
anything.
it's South Africa is the furthest
Yeah.
south, and it's beautiful.
Mhm.
It's very nice. It gets cold there, but not like freezing. It doesn't. It doesn't. I don't think it freezes anywhere in Africa for that matter.
Probably not.
Maybe on top of the mountains or something. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Zambia, it's kind of more in the southern part of the continent,
How close are you to the equator there?
closer than we are here, but it doesn't matter that much. Now I feel it. It feels like it's beating on me a little
That
more.
wouldn't be good for me.
No, it wouldn't be good for you.
No.
You wouldn't do well
I
there.
would melt.
You're whitish,
I'd be
very white
very
people.
red, probably
Yeah,
in the hospital.
you don't really match the people there. So I went for, it was a mission trip, I guess. No, I've been, this is my fourth time.
Okay.
The other 3 times I went for work and witness trip. We went and we helped build a church one year. The other 2, we helped build this like Nazarene conference center.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. And I love traveling with the people and meeting new people, and everything is wonderful. This time we were going to do that, but then we didn't have enough people. So it was a small team. There's only 6 of us. And it was more of a PR trip than anything.
Yeah.
We actually caught the dedication ceremony for the conference center that we've been working on.
Mm-hmm.
And to that, when you travel 8,000 kilometers, clicks, it's all about the metric system over there, for the record. They don't know about feet and miles because that's our own stupid stuff. So I have to convert everything in my head. It's a big deal. It's a big deal to people when you're like, hey, these people traveled a very long way just to be with us. And so I kind of discounted it at first, thinking it's not that important or it won't be that meaningful to them. But I think a lot of them really were impressed, and it did speak volumes to them of just how important they are to us and the larger church just by us being there. And so that's, and we probably went to, oh my goodness, like 4 or 5 different ceremonies or events.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the PR part of it. We had all gone on safaris and done the sightseeing stuff. So we didn't really do any of that, which is pretty funny because I'm like, I've seen elephants and giraffes,
Seen the waterfall?
even lions, seen the waterfall several times. We were in Livingstone, which is right there where is Victoria Falls,
Mm-hmm.
which is way bigger than Niagara Falls. It's amazing. We were literally right there, like a couple miles from it, and we're like, do you want to go? I was like, nah. We were all like, nah, we've been there. So we didn't go. We did take a little sunset cruise down the Zambezi River right there.
Nice.
But that was more of just like a sunset cruise with some, food and drink, which was pretty great. So anyway, like a big pontoon boat. Only 4 of us made that trip because the other members were sick. Unfortunately, they had to stay back. Yes, yes, exactly. So, but then we spent a day in London. I figured it's time. I got to visit the motherland because once again, as we've talked about, when I did the Ancestry.com, it was like 98% from England, maybe a couple percent from Scotland or something. And it was just like very disappointing. But I'm like, clearly I'm English. That's fine. So I'm like, I got to go visit the motherland. So we flew back through London and we spent a day in London. But tell you this, a little quick story too. So when we flew out of Lusaka, which is the capital of Africa, of Zambia, and Lusaka is enormous. It's multi-millions. I don't know how many. There's millions of people there. There's people walking everywhere. Everybody walks in Africa. They're like walking everywhere. It's kind of funny because a few of them came to General Assembly this past year, you know, in Indianapolis, whatever, and they were like, "Where are all the people?" And they're like, "Oh, all the people are actually inside. They don't walk around. They're inside, and then they get in their cars, and they're in their car until they get to another building, and then they get out of their car and they just get in the building. They don't walk anywhere." They were just so surprised because it's true. There are just people walking everywhere. But anyway, we flew out of Lusaka. It was a 7-hour flight to Doha in Qatar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've never been there. Okay. It is in the Middle East. Look it up. Okay. Qatar, Doha is the country. And it's right on the Arabian Sea or whatever the heck it is right there. It's over there in the Middle East.
Arabian Sea?
Arabian Sea. Whatever. I don't know. Fancy geography and whatnot. So we fly over there, and we'd flown there the first time. It is an enormous airport.
Mm-hmm.
It was the fanciest, biggest airport I've ever been in my life. Yes. And so I honestly thought at the time, I'm like, this has got to be one of the largest and most lavish airports in the world. I just thought to myself, I haven't been in a ton of airports, but I've been in a few. And I looked it up. It was number 2 on the world's top list
of largest,
of like largest / most lavish, like nicest, largest.
What was
airport.
the number 1?
Tokyo.
Really?
Tokyo. Never been there, but yeah, Tokyo was number 1.
I don't want to hijack your story. My wife's uncle worked in Doha.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
For oil company.
It is clear that what they're doing is they're trying to use their money, oil money, it's all oil money from the area, to impress the rest of the world. It's like way over the top. Like it's all these Rodeo Drive type shops,
right? Like
Tiffany and Gucci and all those stupid
Louis
stores.
Vuitton.
Oh, of course. You name one, it was there. Okay. And
Old Navy.
They had a rainforest in the middle. No. The Gap.
That's where I shop.
No.
Old Navy, baby.
No. No Gaps. No Walmarts. None of that. They had a rainforest in the middle of this thing. Okay.
Nice.
It's like enormous. And here's what's crazy about it. So it's enormous. It's lavish. It's incredible. It's very, very, very impressive. There's no question about it. And they got like 1 million people working there. I'm not kidding. It seemed like everyone in the country was working there. They have just thousands of employees that work there. But let me tell you something about kind of the culture, in that they're there to help, but they don't. We're spoiled in America, okay? Because people are taught in the service industry, for the most part, smile, and say, "Oh, you're welcome," or "My pleasure," or whatever. "Oh, let me help you over here." It's none of that. It's almost like you're dealing with robots, and it's kind of like, "What do you want?" "Okay, I'll help you." Next. It's kind of weird, because it's like they will help you, but kind of begrudgingly. It's like everyone begrudgingly helps you. It's just, and I'm like, and I guess that's just the way they are. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just literally, it's
to us
different cultures.
Not personable.
It's not personable. Yeah, absolutely. Because we are personable. And furthermore, there's so many nationalities that are flying through that airport. I mean, you can hear them. There's just a million different languages, and you can see the way people dress and all this. And it's like people don't acknowledge. It's not that they're rude. They just don't acknowledge the existence of other people. Now, other than not walking into you when you're walking, it's just like if you're standing in a line and you got a tiny gap, boom, someone's in front of you. It's just like, oh, I hit this one. So we flew 7 hours, and I was trying to ask this airport employee about, we were trying to get an earlier flight, and I'm standing like 2 feet from him, and this woman just kind of cuts right in front of me, and I lost it, because I'd been up for like, I think at that point I was about in my 25th hour straight up. And I was like, I'm standing right here. I said, I'm waiting to talk to him. I've been waiting to talk. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't, and then she backs up like 2 feet, and then she just acts like that we didn't have that conversation, and she butts right back in. It's amazing. It's like, okay, I don't. And then literally everybody else is trying to cut in front of me. I had to just box everybody out, like put my arms aside and like box everybody out, because it's like, it's so different from America.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it. I'll say that. I don't like it. Anyway, all right. I'm gonna continue on with the story. So we had a 13-hour layover. You ever had a 13-hour layover?
But it's in the greatest airport in the world.
It is. Now, number one, they have a fancy hotel in it, but each room was like $350 a night.
You're not staying there.
They have these sleeping pods.
Yep.
And they literally are like cubicles. Think of like a tall wall cubicle with a sliding door, and it's just big enough for like a twin bed.
Yeah.
But then it's got a little TV in there and USB ports and all that. It was $61 for the first 2 hours, and then it's $15 per hour after that.
Did you get one?
I was going to. I was beat, man. I can't sleep on plane. I can't sleep sitting upright. And so, but Chris Y was with us, and he's a platinum member for American Airlines or something. And he could get into, they have these premium lounges.
Right.
Okay. Where there's free food,
nice,
free drinks, even free alcohol, all that stuff. It's all free, which blows my mind. And they have these little lounge chairs up there, but they're not comfortable enough to sleep in. And
the lights are on.
There were 4 of us traveling, and he could get one of us in free, but then we had to pay, and it was like $100 a pop for each of the guests. So it was 200 total. We just split it. It was like $50 a piece, basically, for the 4 of us. Chris was so nice. He even paid, even though he's getting in, himself and a guest for free. So we did do that, and that helped somewhat, but I just could not sleep. So
once you get in there, can you leave and come back?
The airport?
No, the
you can.
The lounge.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. They know you by face. There's a desk, like almost like a hotel check-in desk.
Okay.
And I would tell them, hey, I'll be back in a little bit. No, okay. But even then, on your boarding pass, they like stamp it. Okay. But you can only have it for a certain amount of time. So we were actually supposed to get out of there at like 8 a.m. that next morning, and our flight didn't leave until like 12:30 p.m. But they didn't run us out, but they could have anyway. But I didn't sleep. 13. So we flew 7, and the flight was already like at 5 p.m. in the evening. Maybe 4 p.m. in the evening. So we're already all up all day. 4 p.m., 7 hours into Doha, 13-hour layover. And then it's a 7-hour flight from Doha to London. I was like, all right, cool. And then 7 more hours, no big deal. We're supposed to get in about 6 p.m., go to our half an hour Uber to our hotel, go to sleep and hit it the next day. We get 2 hours into the flight. 2 hours. Come over the intercom, the pilot. We're going to have to make an emergency landing.
Oh, no.
Because we have a medical emergency with one of the passengers. And so we're going to have to make an emergency landing. And we're all like, where are we? I had no idea where we were. Okay. And we're in the Middle East. Remember, we took off from Doha. And I'm like, is it even safe? I don't even know. So we land, and it's this very small looking strip. There looks like there's no airport. I'm like, you're sure it can handle this big plane? I don't know, but I figured somebody's done the math. We don't even pull up to a terminal or anything. They pull just off the tarmac somewhere, and there's a bunch of emergency vehicle. And I'm like, where are we? Armenia.
Okay.
We're in Armenia. Armenia. I'm like, okay. Turns out it was a first class passenger. And I don't know what the deal was, but they were still alive. I thought that someone, they wheeled on this really old lady. And I mean, she looked like she was like 110 old.
It wasn't her.
I thought she had died. You know, we were both like, I think that lady died. And and I'm like, if she's dead, why do we need to make an emergency landing?
She'll start to stink in 6 hours.
No, like, it's only 5 more hours. Get to London and get her off. It's no big deal. So we land. They get them off pretty quick. And I'm thinking, no big deal. Let's back this mother up. Let's take off. We're good to go. No problem. And they're like, oh, it's going to be a little bit. And they really kind of kept us in the dark. And I'm like, this feels like false imprisonment. And they said, oh, we're waiting on an engineer to come and sign off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, you landed here. It's like a touch and go, bro. You landed, you could take off. Let's go.
I could see that. You've got a certain protocol, and you gotta.
So they literally had to fly in an engineer,
yeah,
to then sign off or do whatever the engineer needed to do, the different checks to then sign off to say it's safe for the plane to take off. 5 hours we sat there.
Oh
Ken.
no.
5 hours. 5 hours.
Oh.
So
no.
remember now. Let's put this all together. It was 4:00, 4 p.m. flight, 7 hours, another 13 hours, 2 hours flying, sit on the tarmac for 5 hours. Now we got at least another 5 hours to get to London. We got to London. It was about midnight. And of course, it takes forever to get your bags. It took like an hour to get our bags, to get down there, to get. So we didn't get to it was after 1 a.m. I set my all-time record of number of hours up straight without any, and I'm talking not 1 minute worth of sleep, Ken. I set my all-time record. What do you think it was?
34 hours.
40. I was like, at this point, I'm hitting 40. I'm going for it. All 40, baby. 40 straight hours. I've never been up more than that.
But you get sick at some point in time. Nauseous, headaches.
You go through a lot of different stages.
Yeah.
And in the end, it was delirium.
Yeah.
Because it was just like everything Mike said or I said. And then this is great. So we get to this hotel, and it is a hotel, but it's like London, everything's packed in tight. It's not like here where you pull up and there's an isolated building. No, it's like a hotel within a strip of other buildings, like a strip mall, and then the hotel kind of inset into it. And the rooms are pretty small. And Mike, I didn't book the room, but I was staying with Mike D, and he booked a double room. Okay. To them, double room means one double bed.
Oh gosh.
Not two beds. And so we go, it's like 1:15 a.m. We go up to the room. It's tiny. It reminded me of a cruise ship room. Okay. It was that small. And the bathroom was that small too. I was like, this is like a cruise ship room. And he's like, there's only one bed. And I'm like, bro, I don't care. He's like, I care. So he went down and he talked to him, and they're like, well, double means, one double bed. And they're like, we're all booked up tonight. So he comes back up, and I said, Mike, listen to me. The minute I allow myself to lie on this bed, 30 seconds later, I'm going to be asleep. I'm guaranteeing you. And I don't think I'm going to move or do anything. And I don't care about you or anything else on the other side of this bed. I don't care. I'm going to be asleep. And he's like, okay. And I did. And then they wanted to get up. He and Chris wanted to get up at 8 a.m., like be ready to sightsee at 8 a.m. because we only had one day. Okay.
No.
So we want to be up at 8. I'm like, dude, I just set my record at 40 straight hours up. And here we are. It's close to 2 a.m. And you're wanting to be up and out of the hotel by 8 a.m., which is less than 6 hours from now. I was just like, I don't know. I've never been to London before, and I desperately want to sightsee, but I'm like, I don't know. So I did, man. I'm gonna tell you, I literally was like, I don't remember anything until I woke up, and Mike's waking me up. And now he said that I kicked him several times. Sorry, Mike. I apologize to Mike for that. But so first thing Mike does is go down to receptionist, and he gets us a bigger room with 2 beds, because we were staying one more night.
Okay.
And I got up and I got down there, but it was 8:30. Chris was a little ticked because it was 30 minutes later.
Did he sleep during those 40 hours?
Not much either. None of us really slept much at all. We all kind of admitted that there were times when others would snooze here and there, but none of us really. So there were 4 of us, and it's just brutal. It was a brutal 40-hour trip, and it just was like, I can't do this again. I cannot do this again. So fortunately, then we went and we did everything in London. We bigged the London Eye. It's the big Ferris wheel thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. We went and saw Big Ben, which Big Ben, by the way, it's not the clock. It's the bell within the clock. Everybody loves to correct you on that. Mm-hmm. You can't actually see Big Ben. It's inside. It's the bell.
You didn't go up in there and see it?
I don't think you could go inside and see it.
I'm sure somebody does.
I don't think they take you on tours.
Okay.
But no, we walked by it, and then we saw Parliament, and
Buckingham Palace.
we saw Buckingham Palace, and there were like 1 million people there. And I'm like, this is stupid. Changing to the guard, I got no interest in that whatsoever. Now it was out in Buckingham Palace. They have a big like statue thing, and it's round, and there's a big round thing. And I don't even know it's the ending of Ready Player One. Do you know the movie Ready Player One?
Yeah, but I don't remember anything about the movie.
When they in the first challenge, it's a car race, and in the end they finish like in a park, and it looked like Central Park to me. But this statue is that statue in front of Buckingham Palace. It's not a statue in Central Park.
I think
that's what I always
European Vacation that they go around the little circle.
No, I know. Look, kids,
is that the same one?
Listen, there's no that big a circle that close to Big Ben. For the record,
okay,
I was pretty disappointed in that. But I was like, oh, that's cool because I've seen that on a movie.
London Bridge.
Yeah, and oddly enough, the London Bridge isn't the one you're thinking of because it's the one I was thinking of. The famous bridge is Tower Bridge.
Okay.
Tower Bridge is the one with the towers.
Yeah.
That's like a drawbridge. That's not London Bridge. There is London Bridge. It's not the original. The original London Bridge is actually in the United States.
It's fallen down.
It has fallen down, and then someone like shipped it to the United States, and I forgot where it is. But they've rebuilt
we're
it.
holding it for ransom?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Give it
Look
back
it up.
We've buried that. Give it back to England.
They have a new one. It's fine. Shut up.
Okay.
It's fine. And then, because right next to the Tower Bridge is the Tower of London.
Okay.
Do you know what the Tower of London is? I'm setting all the viewers straight.
Man,
here.
I don't think I do.
It's not a tower. It's not a tower. It's basically.
Can you give me a hint?
I don't know. There's a moat.
Go ahead.
It's like a castle. It's like an old fort. Really, is a better description than a castle. But think of a castle. The moat is dry, but there is. You could see it. You know, you can actually go down and walk around the moat and all that. It was my favorite part of the trip. It was pretty fantastic. It was built like in 1200, the 12th century or whatever, and there was just a ton of history. Now there's one part where you walk through and you get to see the crown jewels. I could not have cared less about that. There's a big long line of people walking through the crown jewels. I'm like, this does not interest me in any way, shape, or form. I went through that about as fast as I could, and I'm like, we're out of here. And time. 40 minutes in before we hit some low-class sexual humor.
Why is that?
Congrats.
Sexual humor.
Shut up. Anywho. First inning here, too, of the new format. So, the Tower of London, I recommend that. That. Now,
fish and chips?
I did have fish and chips.
Was it good?
They serve it everywhere.
In newspaper, like rolled up in newspaper?
No. We just went to this pub. Not a bar. We went to this pub nearby.
So you didn't have it because they'd make like a cone with the paper.
No.
Did you see people walking around with them?
No.
Did you do malt vinegar on it?
No.
Ketchup?
It was kind of an after. No, nothing. Tartar sauce, actually. It was an afterthought. There was a pub. There's a couple pubs right near our hotel, and it was late in the evening.
They
and
like
we had
shepherd
to leave.
Pie too, don't they?
I didn't see that. It probably is, Ken. I don't know. I'll say this much: London, it's huge. It's like 10 million plus people. It's packed. Their mass transit is, elite in the world. Between the subways, the elevated trains, the buses, you name it, man, they have got it down, and everything's tap to pay. So if you have a card, you better have a tap to pay card because they're way ahead of us on that crap. It's just tap to pay. Subway, tap to pay, go through the turnstiles. Bus, tap to pay, get on the bus. Of course, we rode the double-decker bus because almost all their buses are double-decker.
Right.
And you just walk up and you can sit in the upper level. And they got the sightseeing buses everywhere. We didn't do those, but we did like a river.
I thought you were going to stay a little bit longer, so you just were there for
one full day. We hit it.
Why didn't you stay like another day, like 2 or 3?
Because everybody wanted to get back home, and I'm the one that came up with this idea, and they all just kind of they went along with it just to appease me.
Would you have gone by yourself?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have wanted to do it by myself, but
okay.
Maybe. I I'm really glad because I love to see new stuff, and London was all new to me. I mean, I'd seen it on TV. So much of
Sure.
it I'd seen on TVs or movies, and so I'm really glad that I did it. But at the same time, it reminded me a lot of New York City,
Mm-hmm.
and there are people that I talked to this one guy who lives in London. He's like, I wouldn't live anywhere else. Like there are a lot of people that live in London or New York City and or from there or whatever, and they like love like they
Right.
like that guy. They'll never live any. It's the best city in the world or whatever. But there are so many of the rest of us are kind of like, that's not my thing, crowds, traffic all the time.
It's just it's a different lifestyle,
Not down
especially
with it.
us, Texas, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's a. I mean, we have space and
Yes.
cars,
Yes.
and I mean,
And they don't.
watch Seinfeld. You don't.
You're right.
You don't go to HEB or Walmart and get
That's
a
right.
grocery cart full
That's
of
right.
stuff. It's
No.
like you hit the little shops.
You're right. You kind of walk everywhere and
everything's smaller.
That's right.
More packed.
So
in.
everywhere you go, there are small shops like
Yes.
everywhere, and you kind of stick to your little corner of the world for the most
Yes.
part. I think people in London and New York City, same thing. Like there's everything you need in your little corner, right around the.
liquor store,
Of course, yeah. Got to hit those.
little shop to get some bread, bakery goods, coffee.
So then we flew from London to we flew to Chicago, and I think that was another 7-hour flight. Maybe it was 8. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And then we had a 3-hour layover, and then I think it was only 2 hours from Chicago to Oklahoma to Dallas. We flew to Dallas.
Man.
Then we drove from Dallas to Oklahoma City.
Who drove their
It was a
car?
long time. Me, this guy
Oh.
right here, because I volunteered. Because it was all kind of my idea.
Okay, so
Anyway,
all y'all's luggage fit in your car, and
yeah,
all 4 guys.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, don't you worry about that, buddy. So
Why did the other 2 members stay?
they, John and Debbie didn't have any interest in seeing London, and they needed to get back to their lives. I mean,
Okay.
I get that. But I just thought, London's kind of on the way. It's not that far out of the way when you're flying back, and so we flew through Paris one year, and we had like a 10-hour layover, but it wasn't long enough to go anywhere, so we just slept in the Paris Charles de Gaulle airport. I was like, I've been to Paris. I've been to the airport in Paris, and that doesn't really count. But the group had done that before too, where it just worked out where they had flown through London, and they had like a 10-hour layover, and they did actually get out in the city and saw a few. It took about 5 or 6 hours to go sightsee, that type of thing. But I was really jealous of that. And I'm like, hey, let's just do it this time. And it added a little bit to the price of the ticket, but not much. It was because it's really just right on the way. It really is. So anyway, it was pretty great. But I'm gonna tell you something. I went on a lot of these long flights, and these are big planes. Okay, the big boys. And the class system is very apparent on these flights. Okay, like first class is very separate. A lot of the planes, you don't even walk through the first class section.
Gated community.
It absolutely is. And then they come and they shut their little curtains and all that, and you're not supposed to go up there, whatever. Holy cow, though, because they have these like pods again where you can almost lay down. Some of them you can lay down flat, and they got bigger TVs and all. That's a lot more money. Okay, but that's the way to do it. I'm gonna tell you what. But it's kind of sad to me, though, that it is so segregated, and they have their own bathrooms, and we're not supposed to use their bathroom, and they have their different meals and all that crud. And I don't know. It just feels, I feel like very much a second class citizen on those flights because I could see first class. I know first class is up there, and sometimes I go up there and I just walk around a little bit until they kick me out. Because for the most part, they don't really care if you walk around the plane, and you can walk around the plane or in between the little galleys, that the attendants use and all that. They don't really care, if you're walking around and you're walking in there. But then and you're walking around first class, they don't like that. They're like, no, you need to get back, buddy. That type of thing. So
how long's the flight to Hawaii?
How long was it?
Yeah.
I want to say about 8 hours.
Really? So it was long.
Well, we flew to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And then from Los Angeles to
8 hours from Los Angeles.
It's about right. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's look at a map sometime, man. It's a long way.
Yeah.
Hawaii's basically in between. So from Japan to California,
Right.
Hawaii's the midpoint. I think it's literally 8 hours from a flight from Japan to Hawaii, and
So
same for the U.S.
so it's a shorter flight to London, essentially.
Yeah, I think it is. Yes, I do. I don't quote me, but I think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was longer than 7 hours to from London to Chicago, which is a little further, than say New York. We
Mm-hmm.
flew through New York the first time. We do New York to Doha the first time. That was a long flight. 16 hours, the longest flight I've ever been on, and it was our first time to Africa, and it was Washington D.C. to Johannesburg, South Africa. 16 hours. That's too long.
Wow.
It's too long, man. You lose all concept of time, and the time difference. It's a 7 hour time difference in Zambia, and
Yes.
it's just, man, your body just was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Am I hungry? Am I supposed to sleep? Am I supposed to be awake? It just really messes your system up. We weren't geared for that quick of travel, like we're geared for slower travel, like
Mm-hmm.
back in the day of horse-drawn carriages and that type of stuff. And you've got many days to adapt to every single hour, time zone change, that type of thing. And so you don't have the jet lag. But then we got big time, and now you have the jet lag, and it's just such a weird effect on our body because we're not made that way. Our bodies aren't made to adjust
So when
like
you
that.
when you got there, do you
Yes.
have a day built in to get your mind straight before you have to go start meeting people?
We got there, and it was in the morning,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like you're like, let's just tough it out. Let's tough it out.
It's kind of
Knowing we'll go to bed early. I think I went to bed about 8 p.m. that night,
yeah.
but we were all just like, we're gonna go, go, go. You got to stay busy, and we did, and we had to go to the store and get supplies, and then we went to a restaurant to eat out, and we went to a couple other places, kind of a lot of different places,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of go, 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 and then in the evening it's like, okay, at 6 o'clock that evening, I'm like, okay, let's, I'll fight it a little bit longer, but man, by 8 o'clock, and then you kind of get right, because then I always wake up, like I woke up at like 5 a.m., which I normally never wake up that early, but
Mm-hmm.
my system is just geared, and then it takes me like 3 or 4 days to get right, and then anytime we switch, it's another 3 or 4 days, and it those trips are just, they're
You're
hard. They're
getting too
hard on the
old.
body. I am. Yeah. Talking about I was just talking to Nathan M. Shout out, my boy. He said that the Jays, Scott J, another shout out, they're gonna go on another trip to Australia. And I know he's been to Australia. Scott's been to Australia before. That is a forever flight. That is a
Sure.
long, long trip. And I'm just like, man, I'd love to go to Australia, but right now, the thought of that trip, I always have to give it a lot of time in between. I don't know how these people that travel internationally all the time, I don't know how they do it. I just don't know how they live life, because it is just hard on me every time. And the
Mm-hmm.
recovery is longer and longer every time we get back. But anyway, I don't know if you've never done it, do it sometime, but do it when you're younger. Don't wait too long, because it stinks. But anyway,
Okay.
and Africa. So in Zambia, the temperature was great. They only have 2 seasons. They don't have 4 like us. Okay. They
Hot and hotter.
no. They have wet and dry, and it was the dry season. And literally in the dry season, it will not rain for like 6 months. It just won't rain.
Wow.
I'm like, it won't rain or drop. She's like, no, doesn't rain or drop. But then 6 months, she's like, it will pretty much rain every day. Not all day long, but it'll pretty much rain all day. You'll have showers. You don't hear, like, I think of Seattle,
Mm-hmm.
probably very similar to Seattle's climate most of the time. But during the dry season, which we went in, holy cow, it was like heaven, man. The highs were in the mid 70s, lows in the upper 50s.
Wow.
It felt just great.
Mm-hmm.
And the cost of living is very low there, very low. We went to this one we don't normally do this, okay? We normally don't eat at nice restaurants, okay? Because we just don't have time, and it's because there's a big group or whatever. This was a much smaller group, and we had like some different important people from the district with us that we were kind of entertaining or whatever.
Right.
So we went to this pretty nice place, and it was nice, like a bone and fish type of place. You know, bone and fish. Is that right? I'm saying that right? Doesn't matter.
Surf and turf.
No, or like Red Rock. Think of
Yeah.
like Red Rock.
Yeah.
It's a very similar style, Red Rock. And get the menu. It's all fancy or whatever. I had a filet mignon that was just spectacular, and 2 huge sides or whatever. And the American equivalent was $10.
Nice.
I'm like, I'm gonna move here. I'm gonna move here. Now,
And they love you.
the people are friendly, but not super friendly. And here's another thing about it, about the cultural difference. Stealing, I would fit right in actually, because stealing isn't that big of a deal. It's kind of like, oh, it was out front of his house and nobody was guarding it, so clearly they don't care about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it. That's literally the way they so everything's protected. Like there's everybody around their house has a tall wall, and they either have like shards of glass at the top of it, or most people now just have like 3 or 4 electric lines, like an electric fence around the top of it. And they're tall. They're like 10 to 12 feet tall with an electric wire all around it. Like everybody has that. Because people will just, they'll come in your backyard and take something or whatever. Just like, oh, it's no big deal. I'll just take this from you. Or they kind of have that mentality, and that's kind of crazy to me. And oh, this was kind of telling. So on the last day, I don't like going to the markets. I've got all the little trinkets that I could possibly ever want. I got all the little wooden small hippos or at a rock or whatever. And you get enough and you're like, check. I don't need any more of those. I'm good. And that's just that's all they have. Okay. So we finally went to the market on the last day we were there in Lusaka. And I go and I talk to this one of the shop vendors, and my friend, let me show you something. My friend. Sounds like a Middle Eastern, but it's really, they have more of like a British accent, because it's British ruled.
Absolutely.
Once upon a time,
it was like Rhodesia. Or
that's
something.
exactly right. Yeah. That's right. It was it. So it in Zimbabwe,
yes,
were Rhodesia, which was British ruled.
Absolutely.
And then they split off, and that wasn't all that long ago. I mean, I say all that long ago. I think it was like 40, 50 years
50,
ago.
60s.
Something in that time frame. That's right. And then they governed themselves, and they kicked. But a lot of that British heritage is carryover. Yeah. You see a lot of it in their culture. It's kind of funny. They drive on the left side of the road. The cars, the driver's position is on the right side. That type of thing. So anyway. So my friend, so I talked to him for a while, and then finally I kind of cut through, and he's like, and I feel like I'm kind of getting through to him finally. And he said, really, you're American, right? He's like, yeah. I said, I'm American. He said, I love Americans. They're all so friendly. And I'm like, well, not all Americans are friendly. I just want to dispel that rumor right now, bro. I'm around a lot of Americans all the time, and they're not all friendly. But I said, I think a lot of them are, and certainly the Americans that come there,
yes,
that he encounters,
yes,
I don't doubt that they're all friendly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm with you.
So, and there are a lot of them, and you can, Americans, you can spot us pretty easily. It's not just the look of us, but then the minute we start talking, it's pretty apparent that if we speak English with an American accent, which to us doesn't sound like an accent, but to everyone else, obviously it's an accent. So I said, I don't know. And then I thought, what percentage do I think of Americans? And we've talked about this a little bit before. And so I brought in Mike D was there, and Debbie M was right there too. And I said, hey, what percentage of Americans would you deem as nice? Okay, just nice, like thoughtful of their fellow human being. They might hold a door open or whatever. That type of nice. I'm not talking about would go give a kidney or anything nice, but generally nice. And I think they both said like 85, 90%.
Oh,
and I'm
gosh,
like,
I'm way lower than that.
I'd go 80 to 90. I'd like to say it's up to 90, but on the low side, I'll go 80. What would you say then?
50, 60.
Really? You encounter that many people that you just think aren't nice?
No, I mean, it's not necessarily people I'm encountering, but there's people in other places that I'm not encountering.
But use your own judgment of the people that you encounter. I mean,
that are nice. Now, maybe your definition of nice is different than mine.
It might be.
I think
It
there's a
might
lot
be.
of people that just couldn't care less about most of the stuff, or
If you talk to them for more than 30 seconds and you made a determination,
then there's
they're
some
nice
bad
or not.
people too. So
We're right back where we
Yeah.
where we stopped with you not refusing to answer my question.
I answered the question.
That's true. You did answer the question.
You needed. I
Okay,
disagree
fine.
with
I
you.
think you're very low. I think you're
Okay.
very low. We all agreed.
Well, then y'all
Audience,
are all,
what do you think?
y'all are
You
all
tell me
wrong.
to. That's fine. That's
y'all
fine.
can all be wrong together.
Hang
you
on.
took a trip together.
Hang on.
Similar personalities.
Hang on.
All wrong.
Hang on. One more time. Hang on. So I said to him, what percentage of Zambians are nice? You clearly are a Zambian. You know better than I do of how many are nice. He's like, maybe
10%.
maybe 50. You know, he's like, I'd like to think it's 50. But I do think he's right. And same thing, whereas they're just, it's not that they're bad people. It's just they're not friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Friendly is the word I'm going to use. We are spoiled in America because most of us are friendly. You know, we'll smile and acknowledge someone or hold a door open. No one ever in my entire travel, no one ever. Now I'm a guy, but no one ever held a door open for me. Here, people I hold door opens for guys all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care because I'm like, oh, you're right behind me. I'm not going to shut the door in your face. You know, and that happens to me too. So I think I'm proud to be an American for the fact that we are just friendly to our fellow human beings. And it's not, I thought about this too. It's not just that we're friendly to other Americans or friendly to us, you know, whoever we could consider, because we're pretty friendly for the most part in traffic. And in traffic, you don't know who's in that other car. You know it's a red truck, but you have no idea who that driver is, right? But we will typically let people in, that type of thing. You know, once again, Texas versus Oklahoma. But I generally think that we are a relatively high in the grand scheme of things in the world, pretty high on the friendly list, and that's important to me. And you don't realize it. You don't realize it until you go to these other countries, like Zambia, for example, or Doha, another example where they just aren't. They aren't. It's a cultural difference. I'm not saying that they're worse. I'm saying they're just not as friendly because that's a cultural difference. See what I'm saying?
Right. Any last thoughts?
We're done already?
I think we need to be. Yeah.
Why? I feel like we just started. I know.
Really?
We're an hour in.
We're an hour.
Is there nothing you want to add?
Well, I mean, I'm very occupied. This is our first. Okay.
Are we? Or not?
Shh.
Shh.
Okay. Well, wrap us up.
All right. So be it. Anyway, I had a good time. I had a good trip. We didn't even get to anything you did this summer. I feel bad now. I dominated the entire time. You didn't do anything meaningful this summer, did you?
I put a lot of stuff on hold till you got back.
You worked.
I worked.
You worked this summer. Good for you. I'm glad somebody held the fort down. Appreciate that, Ken. Long story short, I highly recommend. You know, to me, being in Zambia, I've never thought it was unsafe, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful, like the trees and the greenery, which is crazy because the ground is like super hard. It doesn't grow grass like we can here, but the trees and the shrubs and everything, it's very colorful. It's a beautiful country, and you catch it at the right time of year. And Victoria Falls is something to be seen. There's no question. So, and you can do it on the cheap, man. I'm telling you, you just get an airline ticket to go over there, and it was probably close to a couple grand to get over there. But then maybe I spent $1,000 total for food, for lodging, for everything else when we were there. I'm serious. It was just everything's so much cheaper over there. London, different story. But anyway, I recommend it. And a lot of people do that. They'll just go. I mean, you see a lot of tourists, especially in Livingston. Livingston is a smaller, just tourist city. And Lusaka, the capital, it's not for tourists. It is a big old honking traffic all the time type city that's just not really fun to be in. So anyway, I recommend it. Why not? And hey, if you catch a working witness trip, go for it. Terrible plug. All right. Hey, We're back. We're gonna do better than this. We're setting the bar very low,
Very low.
very low, and we'll raise it. We'll raise it little by little, little by little. Oh wow. Okay. So hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, I don't know where to look. I'll get better at that.